Hey everybody, coming at you, it's a Denpa Hero, and welcome back to another episode of Game Talks. And this time we're doing a series near and dear to me, and that is the Megaman Zero series. One of my favorite Megaman series. I often went back and forth with the X series as my actual favorite. It's awesome, it's great. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, unlike the other classic Mega Man games of the X series, I actually didn't play this with my cousins. If they had it, they didn't show it to me, they didn't tell me. I actually played it properly in the Game Boy Advance, most of the Game Boy Advance SP. And I actually started it with the first one too. I didn't start at the third one or the second one. I actually went to properly start at the first one, got the second one, the third one, the fourth one, played them all in sequence and all in order for a change on going all over the place like I did with pretty much everyone else save the Star Force series. Now the Mega Man Zero series in terms of gameplay doesn't differentiate that much from the classic series or the X series. It's the same side-scrolling, jumping, platforming, action. Only difference is your main weapon's usually gonna be the Z-Saber, the sword over the Buster. That and the Sephiroth system. So barring the overarching Sephiroth system, really, and a few other things, it's pretty much a prototypical Mega Man game. So despite how much I like it, it's really not a lot different there, at least not outwardly. But what is very engaging is the story of it. Yes, I'm talking more so about that, because when I played this game, when I first found out about it, I was older, I could appreciate the actual story a bit more. Still wasn't what hooked me, but I could appreciate it more. The more I think about it, when I play them, the more I really like it, because I can think more on it. Yes, starting with the first one, Mega Man 01. Like I said, say for the Cyberelves, gameplay-wise, it's pretty much the same thing, except for you can't really have a copy of learning ability things. But beyond that, it opens pretty differently from your standard Mega Man game. There's people running from giant robots and other robots trying to kill them. You know, that Seal and the Resistance going to awaken a in disrepair and kind of messed up Zero. He's like no arms, no armor. He's kind of sort of listlessly sitting there with these cords connected to his back and whatnot. I'm like, oh, okay. What happened here? I don't know. But these three people, soon to be two, is getting pretty royally messed up by these cats that are just chasing them, killing them for seemingly no reason. We don't know the reason yet. So this other minor character, I guess Prairie or whatever this cyber elf name is, appears out of nowhere, and she zaps Zero with her cyber elf energy stuff, wakes him up, fixes him and whatnot, and he's back in action and starts going through these guys. Picks up a random Buster that they had, and I mean, what I really didn't get is, could they just not aim? Because Zero seems to be able to handle a lot of these guys with just the standard Buster that they have. Even going so far as when he gets to the end of the intro stage with the big golden thing he fights, damage it halfway, right? Kill half itself with just the Buster alone. Sure, yeah, it takes a lot of bullets, but it can still do it. So I'm like, I get it, they're not as good as Zero, but I mean, come on. Like I said, when it gets to halfway, a mysterious entity shows up on the monitor, tosses out the Z-Saber, his signature weapon, and then then you hit it once, or just haven't the rest of the series with these golden, because they can be a little annoying, and he just wins instant kill. Then they go back to the Resistance base with this mysterious girl who is later revealed to be CL, the leader of the Resistance. What are they resisting? A organization, entity, nation, city, place called Neo Arcadia, who has labeled Reploids inferior citizens, treating them as second class, and is distributing energy more towards the humans rather than the Reploids. And that just doesn't vibe with CL or anyone in the Resistance. So they're trying to effectively, rebelling against the organization, effectively trying to get equal rights for Reploids and humans. I go, oh, okay, cool. And the stages kind of just reflect them going through these missions, rescuing Rich's members, helping them secure like energy and supplies and whatnot. So well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. They get to like some halfway stage, helps them out there. Yeah, I thought this is fun. This is nice. In both these stages, you get like these little like elemental chips, which gives like a fire effect to your Z Saber or your Buster. I think you have other weapons in the first one, like the shield and the rod and whatnot. I almost never used them. I just stuck with the Buster and the sword when I was a kid, which is why I didn't really bring them up. And yeah, they have levels now. Since when you first get like your Z Saber and your Buster, like level 1, they can't really do a whole lot. They need to max out their levels. They can do more slashes, more combos, and charge up. Like, oh, okay, that's fine, I guess. A little different, but ultimately, nothing too out there. But the really different part, again, the Cyber Elf system. And oh boy, the system can get pretty wacky. Well, the first one, since again, when I was younger, I didn't really go out of my way to get the Cyber Elves. I didn't really do a whole lot about them. I didn't know how broken they could have been. I just kind of played the game as if I was just playing like a regular Mega Man game, which it is, but different. So I got some of the Cyber Elves, but all the Cyber Elves, and I didn't really use that many of them. So I was, oh, this can increase my health permanently. This can do this. Oh, I should probably maybe get to using these things. So I kind of gathered them, and that was about it. I didn't realize how broken they were. The Cyber Elves can give you like health upgrades, save from pits, and do a whole bunch of things for you that just make the game so much easier and so much better. It's again pretty wacky. Again, but beyond that, just your standard Mega Man game, nothing really to write home about. At least on that score. Yeah, the art design is a bit different from the original one, which I guess that's different. I always thought it was pretty cool. It's kind of like they're going forward into the future, so they've upgraded the Reploid model that X and Zero had to upgrade with them. I kind of left it there. I didn't question it too much, and yeah. Now they're more streamlined, less blocky, more human-like. And that was about it. Unlike a lot of people, really didn't care about the new design that much. Why, again, didn't mention it until now. The only other, like, really difference in the first game really isn't noticeable, because I don't think there's copy abilities in the first one, is the grading system. Like when you do like a stage or something, you get graded at the end, like a little mission report thing on how well you did. I think from like F to S, S being the highest, F being the lowest. When I was younger, I wasn't good at these games, so I just got like a lot of C's, D's, and F's. Maybe the occasional B, almost never an A or an S. Never an S, but almost never an A. So that's what kind of instilled in my mind that the Zero series is kind of for like the elite of the Mega Man community. Guys should play these games, especially with 2 and 3. I'll get into that when I get to them. But for the first one, it doesn't really impact anything at all. It doesn't really do a lot. Now, coming back to the story for a second, because now we're getting to the. Because once we go to like the first one, just helping out the Resistance. Where it's just kind of I'm like, okay, so helping these guys out, it's kind of the hero thing to do. Okay, cool. It's like the halfway points. All right, awesome. Then we get to the next set of Reploids or whatever, and then we see these unique sprite guys who are different from these other guys, saying, oh, all of a sudden, like we get a high energy rating and whatnot, like in the desert. Then we meet this red guy with the giant, as they're called, knuckle busters. And who are you? So this guy is fighting Fafnir, one of the 4 guardians of Master X, who will henceforth be calling them Master Chex, because Copy X doesn't count. He's not really the true X. I'm like, oh, okay. And I kind of like these guys. They were a bit more interesting and unique than the other guys, since they were obviously more humanoid-looking ones in this. I kind of gather the humanoid-looking enemies or Reploids for the Mega Man series, or the Mega Man X series more specifically, and Zero Zeros are the stronger ones. So which made me to be like, oh, okay, these guys are probably stronger, and lo and behold, they were. They're the ones leading all the other guys. Alright, so we fought Fafnir first. I'm like, alright. This guy's interesting. Then fight Harpuya, who's this green guy with two different like, sonic blades or whatever the crap they're called, right? Shoot waves and it moves really fast. Shoots lightning. I'm like, oh, okay, this guy's pretty fun. And we kind of get a little hints into their personality and whatnot and things, instead of the generic, lines based off of their appearance or whatnot. This is what I liked, because in its interaction with Fairy Leviathan, which makes me think that you fight Fafnir and Harpuya first, is that you get tickets from the pretty kid, Harpuya, and the combat nerd, Fafnir, talking about Zero, how strong he is. And, all these people are obviously really strong, but as we kind of get from their interaction with Zero, they also haven't had a real challenge in a very long time, if ever. So when Zero shows up out of nowhere and starts beating them, they're like, oh, who's this guy coming straight out of nowhere? It's like, and I just lost this guy. This is, wow, okay. And you get, then there's, I think they're kind of looking for like a good challenge, a good worthy opponent, someone that can actually, test their abilities on, someone they don't have to hold back against, kind of deal. And I can understand that, and I guess I can understand that you don't always want to fight like your brothers or your sisters or whatnot just to get a good challenge. They're the only ones around that can give you, what you want. It gets a little boring, especially if they're not in the mood to fight you, kind of deal, or do whatever. Well, at any rate, first they weren't that bad, because if you get the elemental chips, that you could abuse their weaknesses. Like Harpuya was weak to ice, Fafnir weak to lightning, and Leviathan weak to fire. Then they got to the fourth guy, Kagan the Phantom, or Hidden Phantom, and my favorite one. Also, I think when I was younger, and even though now the most difficult one, because he didn't have an element attached to him, so he had a weakness for you to explore. So in my mind, I just had to be good, which I died to him more than I did the other two, because there was no weakness I could exploit that just gave me more damage for free. So I was like, oh, okay. He fought him at the beginning of the stage, not the end. So after that, I had to go through the stage anyway. Like, oh, this is different. I failed that. I had to fight him all over again. I'm like, great, okay, I see what we're doing here. So I got pretty well acquainted with that stage, that part of it, since that stage wasn't nothing when I was younger at easiest for me either. And again, their whole thing is just going against the resistance, trying to stop them from, resisting. Not a hunk of a whole lot there, but once you beat them, then Zero and Seal have a bit of a moment and saying, I'll go to Neo Arcadia and beat this X for you, blah 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 blah. And eventually we go to Neo Arcadia, where we fight, like the enemies there, like the stage bosses. One was a Rainbow Devil, which still using the devils, so that's pretty cool. I haven't fallen completely out of fashion. Alright, so keep it going, guys, keep it going. Then it was revealed that Seal made Copy X, who was the leader of Neo Arcadia. And I'm just like, okay. But now, why am I, and your reaction was just okay when I was younger, is because although I could appreciate the story more, I still didn't care as much about it as I do now. If the me of now were to play it, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's pretty significant. The me of then, I'm just like, can I get to the story? Bring me back to the action, please. Can I get to back to the action, please? Kind of deal, because especially at that point, I was kind of in it. I was trying to do better in the game. I was trying not to be so bad. So I was kind of in the flow, and that kind of took me out of it a bit for this kind of little heart-to-heart that Zero and Seal had. But still, it doesn't mean it had no impact on me. I was like, oh, okay, so what happened to, regular X then? He's kind of up in vanish, but I'm like, I guess he's that cyber from the beginning. Yeah. Because that especially was muted when I first saw it. But then again, when I first saw it online, my reaction was the same anyway. Because I'm like, I knew they weren't going to just off X, so they can go off at nowhere. So this guy was his temporary replacement that looked like him, but really wasn't him. Which they kind of sort of harkened to in the X series. but I guess they had a few changes they made. Because originally, I think, if I remember correctly, they were going to have it be X who became a Maverick, and Zero had to take care of him. But I kind of like how it was copy X, because it really wouldn't make a lot of sense if X went Maverick after 100 years of living among people. He still didn't get it, but I digress. You go through the stages, you fight all the previous bosses and the 4 Guardians and Master Checks. Again, the first 3 you fight, Leviathan, Harpooia, and Fafnir, they leave, but Phantom, no. After you beat him, he's like, I won't allow you to reach his master and whatnot, and he self-destructs, tries to blow you up with him. He obviously doesn't, but now he's dead. And I was sad, because now it's not the 4 Guardians of Master Checks, it's just the 3 Guardians of Master Checks. And that's the way it kind of stays. So you leave, you go in there to fight Copy X, who dons some kind of ultimate armor thing. And it was a pretty interesting fight. It wasn't the easiest, but nor was it the hardest. I feel like I thought some of the other guys were harder, because he had some things that were kind of similar to like Dr. Doppler from Mega Man X3 with the whole healing thing. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And when you have the different elements, I think he's weak to those chips, so switch with him, go to the corresponding weakness, and then hit. That wasn't that bad. When he uses what I think was called Armored Phenomena to make that giant angel thing, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So just giant angel monster. And that's the part where I actually ended up not doing so hot. For reasons, the platformings and the lasers, it wasn't a fun time for me, so I died in that more. But once I found out some cheese strats with like the rod, I was like, oh, so if I just cheese it, I'll be fine. And so I cheesed it a little bit because I wasn't that good. My skill wasn't good enough to not cheese it. And when I won, I was like, it was a relief, because it got pretty rough at times. So again, I feel like this is like for the elite of the Mega Man series. And then after that and the whole ending cutscene thing, we got the real X, who was that glowing mystery ball thing, who even before I played the game myself for the first time, I guessed immediately. Someone's like, so because of that whole ball the shape of an X, I'm like, okay, so there's X. If they were any more heavy-handed with it, I would have been completely insulting our intelligence. And then Zero decides to leave the Resistance for a while, for like a year or so, and that's leading into 2. Now on to 2, because yeah, why not? And the beginning of 2's music is so good. It's like in so many different, like, it's been remixed so many different ways. It's just awesome and epic. Zero there in the wastelands, the peons show up, he takes off the robe, and he's just like ready for more combat. He's been doing this thing for years, so he gets it. At this point, he knows the drill, and he just kind of goes at it. It's just everything about it. And then he, at the end of the whole intro stage, fights boss, and he collapses, and then Harpooia shows up, and I was like, oh, you gonna kill him? Are you gonna actually, I can ice Zero right here, right now? Even Harpooia is like, Zero, to live or die? But no, he doesn't. We go to the new Resistance base, where we see this new guy in charge, who's Ellipsio? Or Paizo? It's French for something. I don't remember how to pronounce it. For that, I'm sorry. And he's kind of addressing the troops. He's the new leader. And then some guy comes in, and he's like, oh, hey, Zero's here. What, Zero? And everyone goes out. So here, oh, they see Zero. He's like, Zero, And Zero wakes up. He gets all fixed up and whatnot. Then he goes to meet Ellipsio. And then for me, this is the part where I think Zero's kind of a dick. Because he just extended a hand. Because he's like, yeah, we're going to punch Neo Arcadia in the face and show him out to be trifled with. And Zero's just like, he just kind of almost looks it down, looks at him, and he's like, it's not as simple as that. And he just comes like, oh man, come on, kind of being a dick here. I get it, he's not CO. But I mean, you shouldn't have to be like, just like, you've been kind of rude there, but okay. So it's the usual preamble, go different areas of it. Talk to CO, start your missions, get your weapons, and yeah. So the first half is just going through to prepare for their operation, which is called Righteous Strike. Gameplay differences. There's a form system. The forms were the most interesting part about this for me. Because by fulfilling certain requirements, you get to unlock different forms which give you different boons. Like Buster form or X form, you get when you're using the Buster a lot, kill like 50 or so enemies with the Buster in a single stage, you get the X form, which increases your Buster skill. If you're really like athletic and whatnot, you'll get like the active form, which will make you gives you like the spinning slash kind of deal. And so on and so forth, doing different things give you different upgrades, different forms. And completing certain objectives, like the missions, will give you like the elemental chips again. A cyber system is effectively the same. And again, when I first played through them, I didn't really touch the cyber elves that much. I guess I kind of, well, even when I found out that they could, do more for me, I was like, I don't want to rely on their, power kind of deal. Save for increasing my health, obviously. Save for doing that, I don't want to rely on them too heavily. We'll see how good I was without them. Because in this thing, your grade actually matters. Because if you get like an A or higher, which is S, you actually, when you beat the Reploid in charge, the Neo Arcadia Force person in charge, you actually get their skill. And that's how you get like the copy abilities in 0-2. And I'm just like, yeah, I just didn't get any copy abilities. I wasn't that good. I just wasn't. Again, solidifying that this series is for like the elite of the series, like the best of the best. And I just wasn't on that. I wasn't on that level yet. I tried my best. Eventually, I got up there and got a few of them, but I never got like all of them. But at any rate, it was preparing for Operation Righteous Strike for like the first half of it. Then we go to do the mission, and it's a complete failure. The 4 Guardians, well, 3 because Phantom's dead, just cleaned house. And when we get through there, we just see Ellipsio just unconscious, and it's funny. And then they may stop a bomb from dropping on the Resistance base, and I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. And again, proving that Zero is a superior Reploid, as if any more proof were needed. And then Ellipsio goes AWOL, saying that how weak he is, in classic little man syndrome. Saying how weak he is and how he needs more power to become absolute and undefeatable and all that crap. So the second half, we're just kind of trying to find him. And in this class, we actually fight the 3 Guardians of Master X plus a frog, since Phantom isn't here anymore, to my eternal consternation. Well, aggravation, but yes. And we get, again, more insight into their personality, especially like Harpooias after you beat him. Who he's just like, I was feeling I love the pain, you are worthy. Again, I think they're just looking for that other person, someone who can give them a challenge. Because it's when you're that strong, at least for a lot of people, you're looking for someone to give you a right and proper challenge. And when no one else can do it, you get bored. All you're having under are weaklings. You're just like, ugh, why? But sure, you can fight your brothers and sister, but it's just like, I don't want to have to fight you guys all the time. And sometimes, despite Fafnir's, combat, maybe he isn't always in the mood to fight. Maybe most of the time, but not all the time. And if he is, I mean, the rest of them are, and supposed to be working together so they can't be fighting each other all the time. That shows this guy who's super strong. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Plus, there always seemed to be some kind of like code between them, a sense of honor, which is why I think Harpooia spared him. Where all intents and rights and purpose, he should have ended Zero right then and there as an enemy of Neo Arcadia. He should have ended him right then and there, but he didn't. Because I guess after him, showing that how powerful and worthy he is, and his sense of honor, he wasn't going to, kill an opponent or someone who can't defend themselves. All right, cool. Again, revealing more of the personalities. And the other guys are, like I said, we're just looking for Ellipsio. They like, we always like just missed him, kind of deal. Like, darn, that old chestnut. And I was like, okay, guys. And then we get to finding the they mentioned the baby elves and the mother elf, because they were brought up a little bit earlier, but they weren't really important. And then my first playthrough, which I'm trying to give my original perspective of it, I didn't pay attention to that. I just didn't. The baby elves who are named Kriya and Priya, are integral role, because into something called the mother elf, who we're gonna get into her in a little bit, but she's called the dark elf right now, and that's what ultimately he's after. So he gets the baby elves and goes after the mother elf. That's what he's been doing, trying to find a way into there and whatnot, into the vaults of Neo Arcadia to unlock such dark and forbidden powers to be absolute. Yes. So when we get to that point, after we beaten the second set of Mavericks, I was just like, okay, this is getting interesting. I'm getting kind of pumped for this. Is ancient mysterious power person entity thing that can grant rep lords all kinds of juice. All right, I'm getting pretty excited on what it's going to look like. So we go through the different temples, and this is where I was really starting to like this game. Towards the end, I know. Just towards the end, I'm really starting to like it, because we fight the guardians of Master Chex again, right? But it's different because he's going through their temples, their territories, right? And they keep saying, leave that guy, especially Pfeffers, leave the guy to Harpooey and let's have some fun with me instead. And they go into this form called Armored, like with Master Chex, really, Armored Phenomena, which it's the alternate more powerful forms where that figures a four-headed dragon tank thing. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so you guys do have transformations and Zero still wins and whatnot, and I think it only gets me even more, excited to fight him again, because even though I power it up, I still could beat you and whatnot. And like Leviathan's a similar way, where she's just like, to get everybody affected by, affected by them, because she just wants to fight him and, enjoy herself. I'm like, yeah, because this slaps. Those boss fights I always look forward to whenever I play this game. No, because when I first played, I was like, yo, this is so cool. But Veilser and I failed more than once, and then when fighting them, I got more than one game over. And Leviathan, Pfeffer not so much. His was a little too easy to dodge for me to fail, even back then. But Leviathan was always more difficult. Then we get to Harpooey in the Wind Temple, and we get his, because he had no intention of actually fighting. He was trying to fight Calypso, but he had both baby elves. He could use his power, and then the baby elves went into Harpooey and forced him to transform into his Armored Phenomena to fight us. And one of my favorite lines that prove to you just how, as much as he likes fighting Zero, as much as he wants to do that, he's still the de facto leader of Neo Arcadia first, kind of deal. And he's like, Zero, shoot me. He asked Zero to shoot him, to kill him and whatnot. Yeah. And I was like, oh wow. And then he, I remember it's just from the audio from the game, he just yells instead of actually doing some battle cry. He yells because he doesn't actually want to transform or fight him, but he's being forced to. They fight him in his really cool bird helicopter like plane thing form, and it was just really fun and cool and whatnot. Which again, to me, I'm just like, where is Phantoms? Which again, years later, I was like, oh, there's concept of Phantom actually having an Armored Phenomena form. Too bad we never got to implement it in a game. Yeah, I'll never let that one down. Let them let that one down. At least not to me, anyway. For other people, it may not be that big a deal, but he's my favorite one, and I would have liked seeing it. And if they have these forms to begin with, why didn't they bust them out in the first game when they were losing? Kind of like in an anime where the guy's getting their butt kicked, whoop, I better transform and power up. Obviously, they didn't think of it at the time, but lore-wise, it's like, why didn't you do that? Shrug. Anyway. Beat those guys, go through the boss rush, right? And then we get to the highest point in that vault, right? Where, as Alessio said, not even the highest executives have authorization to get to. And then we see a giant blue bubble, and there is X right there, the OG X from the X series, right? And his body's just there. And his body has a seal on it. And although he's floating around as a cyber elf, I guess as long as his body was intact, he always had like an anchor for his soul, his form in this world. That's the way I took it. And it's even like that. I kind of thought about this briefly, because I'm like, wait a minute, then why is he? Whatever. I didn't. That was my thought. I was like, why is he? Thought about it briefly, and then I was like, whatever. But Zero goes to stop him because he has to kill X to do it. But then, oh no, Lucio stops Zero from doing the thing. I was like, wait, what? And then he just rams his sword into X's chest and kills X. He blows up Mega Man X, OG Mega Man X from the X series. I'm like, oh, okay, this is getting intense. X just died. He blows up saying he killed the legendary hero X and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, okay, don't get too excited. You effectively stabbed what is the tantamount to a cadaver. Congratulations, you killed an already dead man. You get no claps. Let me see the dark elf. This looks like a giant winged black purple ball of whatever kind of deal, right? Then it merges with him or gives him like the power, and then he again the awesome song plays, one of my favorites. And he transforms, and then boss fights on. And it wasn't that hard. Even my first time playing, it wasn't that difficult. The difficulty came from the second form, which that's the one I died to. I don't think I got a game over though, because at that point I was trying to be better at it. So I don't think I got a game over like I did the other one, but I did die more to that one. Then we obviously beat him in a second form, which is all angelic and whatnot. Again, all evil angel looking thing, because Savior and all that other whatever stuff. And then Ellipsio was just like, oh, I'm sorry and whatnot. I was such a fool. No one will ever forgive me. But then the Mother Elf used magic sprinkles and turned him into a cyber elf, I guess, and then whisked him away. And that's the end of 0-2. At the ending of 2, we get like a little extra scene there where someone's talking, right? And it shows us a structure. I'm like, ooh, what's this and that and whatnot, which is setting up for my favorite Mega Man game ever. And again, we're back to that theme. The third game is the favorite in the series, Mega Man 03. That's setting up for it, and let's go. Oh boy, I will try to restrain myself because this is actually my favorite Mega Man game, arguably one of my favorite video games ever. I could go on about everything that this did right for me. From a basic gameplay perspective, it doesn't do a whole lot different from the previous game. There are no forms though. There are like the head chips and the body chips and the foot chips. Those are like your power-ups, right? That's what give you different things. And again, you have to get A rank and higher to get the copy abilities. But the piece de resistance for me, where the cyber elf system was revamped. Before you had what they call fusion elves, where they kind of use themselves up as consumable items to give you certain boons and effects. They introduced something called a satellite elf, which was an elf that stayed on screen and gave you certain effects. So like more defense, more offensive power, more buster this, dropping health, regen, doing whatever. And yes, or even cyber elves again that could give you an automatic A rank. And I would be lying if I said I didn't use one or two of those. And it was just awesome. I went out of my way to try and be better in this game than others, just so I could get some of the copy weapons. And I, again, succeeded. But beyond that, basic gameplay is effectively the same. There isn't a whole lot different beyond those points. Story-wise, it's really good and amazing. It opens up on a snowy scene, right? Some giant structure in the background. Zero's there. CL's actually out and about with two other Resistance members. they're on a mission to find out what's going on. And Zeus is just like ordering radio silence and whatnot because they're talking, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, oh crap, we didn't mean to make Zero mad and whatnot." Which, even though CL's the boss, it kind of shows that. I mean, if he wanted to, he could be leading the resistance, which I was like, I thought she was, but hey, I mean, he has the most field experience, so I guess it kind of counts a bit better. But anyway. Then we get to Neo Arcadia's there, right? And so Zero goes off. The other guys start shooting, and then we meet up with Harpuya. Harpuya just like, "I'll forgive the transition for now. Just get out of here. I don't have time to deal with you right now. What's going on?" He's like, "Just leave. I'm not explaining this to you." So he leaves. We go inside the structure. Just go through. Doesn't just standard intro stuff. Then we see, before we go through the door, when we get there, Leviathan and Fafnir were fighting someone who's beating both of them, 2 Guardians of Master Checks at once, and they're losing. Look, I'm just like, who is this Bamf that can just take on 2 of them at the same time like it ain't nothing? And then we see this guy called Omega, and I'm just like, oh, okay. Giant, imposing, domineering. Who the crap are you? They're trying, and they both just can't hack it. And so then we step in, and we fight them. And then it was kind of like not a true tag team. We do the heavy lifting, but kind of like in my mind, like a tag team between Harpuya and Zero, because Harpuya, once his health is gone, comes in and she fires him with lightning, and they're about to destroy. And when they're about to destroy him, he's like, "It's over." And then Copy X appears with a mysterious floating old man, who goes by the name of Dr. Weil. My first instinct was, this is a Mega Man game. He's a human. He's floating there through whatever means. He's evil. Immediately. This is when I first watched it too. Not even when I first played it. Because I first played it, I already knew, since I already watched it. But I mean, like, come on, dude. He screamed villain. So after that, up there, and when I was younger, I didn't pay close attention to the plot, so I didn't really get what was going on. But again, it's standard Resistance versus Neo Arcadia business, so I didn't really think too hard on it. I really didn't. They were doing things to help Weil with his projects. We were trying to stop him. Bing, bang, boom, fing, fang, boom. Really didn't need anything more than that. Now, when we get into the actual stages themselves, the only other difference is there are these blue doors there. If you go through these blue doors, you enter an area called cyberspace. In cyberspace, you health drops more frequently, all your cyber elves activate, but your score takes a shot, which is what I tried my best not to use that, because I didn't want my score to take a shot, because I wanted to try to actually be good at this. So, upon learning that, the first time through, I didn't know that, so I kind of just went into them liberally. But after I learned that, I kind of stopped trying to going into them, because I really wanted to just get my score be as high as I could get it, because I wanted to get these special weapons for a change. And again, through perseverance, I managed to do just that. Not all of them, though. Let's not get crazy now. Again, we go through the first set of Reploids, and then we go to the middle stages and whatnot. Ooh, they some of the schematics about some of the schematics something called the CL system, right? It was alluded to in the first 2 games, but it really wasn't a major plot point. And when I was younger, I didn't care about that. But the visual reviewers lost for unlimited energy, since that was the cause of the whole discrimination with Reploids. Energy crisis, not enough to go around Reploids who just need the stuff. Like, oh well, no, you guys suck now. But so yeah, well, limited energy. There's no need for any of that, and you could end the conflict. However, in the previous stages, they were willing to pretty much blow up and kill a lot of innocent people or whatnot to try and get to them and do their things. So CL decided not to hand over the seal system and team up with them because she couldn't trust that they wouldn't use them for some nefarious point and purpose. So Copyx is just like, I was holding back because you were there a human, but since you're going to do this, you have a monopoly on energy, and you have Zero, a guy with terrifying fighting strength. So now he tries to just bomb them directly, and obviously Zero stops them. It doesn't work. Seal actually shows up in that stage, and that was fun. She has to deactivate the bomb, so you can't just slash it. It's gonna go off anyway. You have to disarm it, and that's what she did. She disarmed it. She got out of there. We fought a boss, and then we left. Because then you fight the second set of Mavericks, if I'm not mistaken. Well, not Mavericks. I'm still using the Mega Man X terminology, but I see Neo Arcadia forces. And again, trying to just stop Wile from doing what he's doing. Right? We get to a point where we actually see Omega again, because now they're hunting the mother of the Dark Elf, right? And that's what they're doing in this point. They've been doing it the entire time, but especially right now. He was trying to stop Omega Zero from getting the Mother Elf first. And to do so, they just blow up like an entire settlement area at one point. Or something which Harpui just couldn't abide by or stand by. And so he tried to, attack him with lightning. But now that he had the Mother Elf, it absorbed her, his attacks didn't do anything. Kind of sort of backhanded him and then left. So he was taken back to Resistance Base so that he could be healed and repaired and whatnot. We kind of continue on with our missions. After that, after we fight the main Maverick, right? We go back into Neo Arcadia and then we fight Copyx again, only in his ultimate armor form. And then he realized he's being used and played by Wile, and he doesn't like that, so he tries to go to his armor phenomena form, but Wile's suspecting this, and this is what I like about Wile. They like about him. That he planned these kind of things for happening. He knew ultimately this was what it's going to come down to. Copyx versus Zero again. So he put a trap on his body. When he tried using his armored phenomena, transforming again, he would blow up. And that way he could pin the murder of Copyx on the Resistance, and then get the support of the public on his side, because he didn't want to just take over that by force. That would out him, and then he wouldn't have access to all the resources that he would have with Neo Arcadia, and probably be forced out especially with Omega being in the weak and incomplete state that he is. And he didn't want that, so he played the longer game, and this is what happened. And I applaud him for that. It wasn't just some, just gonna go in and take over kind of deal. It's let's have the quote unquote good guys do my work for me. And it was great. It was awesome. It was amazing. After that, we kind of go back to the Resistance base. If I'm not mistaken, Harpuyo wakes up. We have a little bit of a philosophical talk with him about saying, all we're doing is what you're doing right now, fighting for what we believe in and whatnot. Then he leaves. We get into the endings of the game. We're getting into the final stretch here. But while his plan is being put into fruition in place, he has the Dark Elf, he has Omega Zero, and his whole plan is to control every repload on the planet. Mega Man, bad guy. This Mega Man, bad guy. Pretty predictable, but hey. I like it for what it is, not for what I wish it could be. But ultimately, the evil plan is gonna turn to be the same regardless. So, moving forward, the Resistance turns on CL and Zero. I guess they're the only ones immune. CL because she's a human, not a Reploid, and Zero because he's Zero. But then Copy of X shows up. He uses his magic elf powers and protects the Resistance base, right? So that he can be transported to the final areas of the game. And it's the standard fare. We got boss rushes. We got the technically the baby elves are also an important part, but again, even when I was playing it the first time, Kriya and Priya, the baby elves, never made that big of an impression on me. I found them more annoying than anything else. So people who are wondering why he's gonna mention those guys, that's why. From my perspective, when I was first playing it, they were just more annoying than anything else. You fought them periodically throughout these stages. The only thing I found interesting when they said he's fighting the bad Reploid and he's fighting the fake Reploid, and I'm just like, okay, so there's something about Zero, because even X made it's about the heart, not the body. I'm like, so his body's not his own, and as I was watching it, I'm like, oh, so yeah. So at any rate, the best part is, in my opinion, go into cyberspace, right? Then the first or second stage, I don't remember so well. Go all the way to the left, you find a teleporter there in one of the areas. Go through it, and you're going to fight Kage no Phantom, and I was so hyped. When I saw that, I was like, yes, Phantom's back, my favorite of the 4 Guardians. Now I can say 4 Guardians, all 4 of them actually show up in this game. And he's all just like, when you defeated me, I became a mere soul, and there I learned all tools. You never took what it took to be a hero, and they got to fighting it. We fight him, we obviously win. And then he's like, but then I thought, maybe you do what it takes to handle the truth. Go, clash sword with Omega, but your blade flinch when you learn the truth. And then he leaves and whatnot. Then we leave. Then we get the best upgrade, which is the Omni chip, foot chip, which gives us all the abilities of all the other foot chips. There's no Omni body chip or Omni head chip, like I would have liked, but but we have an Omni foot chip. That was the double jump, like jump on water, phase through enemies. When we dash, it's great. Over there, after that, we go on the bottom, fight Kriya and Priya one last time. Again, sorry for not mentioning them sooner, but when I first played through it, they didn't leave that much of an impression on me. They were just annoying. They weren't difficult, just annoying. And then we fight Golden Omega. So I'm like, oh, okay. He's supercharged now because he has the Dark Elf in him. Alright. Well, it's rehash of the first boss, so it really wasn't that hard. Just I think he hits harder, he's a bit faster, but whatever. Win, not too much trouble. Second phase gave me some trouble. I died to that one. The first one I didn't really die to. Again, it was the first boss, but Gold. He went Super Saiyan, I guess. The second one, which me and my brother have always called like a X and Zero fusion. He gave me some trouble with his big laser thing. His X, and I was like, oh, okay. And he was just annoying. And there's a pit there in front of him, so I couldn't really get that close. I didn't realize that if I had like the pitfall saving guys there, right? I could like stay there and like cheese it, but I wasn't thinking about that when I first played through. I didn't know I could do that when I first played through. Well, I beat him eventually, and then from his rubble, you see some giant pillar of energy, and then you see him, Omega Zero. I kind of alluded to what I said earlier, which I meant to say Omega, but I'm not really spoiling anything, am I? Not in like a how old is this game? Like I want to say almost 20 years old game, yeah. I'm not spoiling anything at that point, but yeah. I'm like, oh wow, is this like all those 80s and the original? It's called rare up. They called Zero, blah 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 blah. This is what everyone was alluding to. That Zero's body is fake. His mind may be of the original Zero, but his body isn't. At some point, they made the switcheroo, and he was put in a copy Zero body, and he got the original Zero body. And now this one was rough. He was fast, he hits hard, he doesn't give a crap. But it's not undoable, especially if you have the foot chips, all of them, especially the double jump one more specifically. It really isn't that bad, especially if you don't try and score up with him, which is what I quickly learned. You just kind of hit and run tactics, and you're golden, because a lot of his attacks don't lend well to the hit and run. There's nothing, he can't really compensate for that, in my opinion. But I'm like, oh, okay. Then you could kind of not cheese him, but make it a lot easier on yourself. And yeah, then I eventually beat him, and I was like, I was super relieved. because he was a big tough boy. And we got to the ending there, which was an interesting ending. It was different. I liked it because after beat him, he like kneeled down because he was weakened, and then the mother Dark Elf used her powers, was healing him, and was damaging us. So we were going down. So I was like, oh crap, is this it for Zero? Is this it? And then the 3 Guardians of Master X, guys, I'm saying that because actually X shows up in this scene, and they damage him again, and the Dark Elf, becoming the Mother Elf again, releasing of the curse and whatnot, she stops healing him, and then you have to slash Omega. You could just, so at that point, one of my favorite things to do is get the right distance away from him, right? And then dash slash. I don't know, I just makes me feel so cool to do that. Yeah, this going out next to him and this doing this single slash kind of deal is cool too. But I like the dash slash, me personally. And what happens next is a little confusing. What was to me, because I didn't know, and a lot of people don't think knew for a while. It's like, because after this game, the 3 Guardians of Master X don't appear. Because after the huge explosion, X says he's leaving the world in his hands, and he can't be here anymore since he has no body to keep him anchored here. That was the way I took it. So he leaves. And that's where the game ends. He wakes up at the Resistance base, and that's it. What was confusing about it was the 3 Guardians, again, like I said, just didn't show up anymore. What happened? Why aren't they in the fourth? And the fourth can helping us out. Their power would be a great asset. You could play as, the 3 Guardians and Zero against Wild's tyrannical rule. That would have been sick. It wasn't until years later I realized that why they didn't show up. Because they explained this, is that they used their bodies to shield Zero from the explosion. So they died in that explosion, shielding Zero. And I'm just like, oh, okay. That's another reason the 4th game is not my favorite. I don't go back to playing the 4th game. Speaking of which, the 4th game. Now, just from an early thing, it's not a bad game by any means. It's still fun. It's just not my favorite. A lot of the things that tied me to it and the elements of the story, like the Guardians of Master X, are now gone. The Cyber Elf system that I loved in 3 is now gone. They changed that. They watered it down. The form system is gone. The chip system is gone. They're replaced with not a bad system by any means, but not one I particularly enjoyed. Let's get into all of that. Because the story is effectively Wild wants to destroy nature, literally. Like I said, it's like a barren wasteland for the most of the series, just barren, lifeless, rubble everywhere, decay, ruins. And Neo Arcadia is the only habitable place for humans to live. Until we get to the point called Area Zero, where there's trees, there's grass, there's water, nature's reasserting itself and regrowing kind of deal. And humans, most notably humans, who don't want to live under Wild's tyrannical rule, kind of stepped and leave town. And head for that area. They're attacked, we help them, but they don't like Reploids because they believe Reploids are the root of all evil, I guess. Even though humans made Reploids, and Wild's a human, but hey, whatever, let's not get into that. But yeah, that's kind of the whole thing there. Wild's trying to destroy nature. Because he's like, oh, if people realize there's another place that they can live outside of Neo Arcadia, then they won't want to listen to me anymore. So let's destroy it. And that's where effectively the whole plot is, just trying to get him to stop doing that. On to my issues. Starting with the Cyber Elf system. The cool satellite fusion elf system, that's gone. Watered down to just be, we have technically a single satellite elf that you can feed energy crystals to and upgrade to do certain things. I didn't much care for this. It didn't allow the same level of customability or variability, because although my first playthrough I didn't really utilize it. On subsequent playthroughs, when I really get more into it, I would utilize it heavily, and I would get better at the game for it. Getting more, not all, but more of those A ranks to get more of the copy abilities that I like so much. So yeah, that was a major stick in it. Again, story-wise, I didn't have the 4 Guardians anymore in any way. Not even the 3 Guardians. All of them are just dead now. I'm like, oh, okay. So those guys were gone. And then we had no more like the forms or the body chips. We were pretty much like kind of like recipe system kind of deal, right? Where you had to make your upgrades by getting these things that enemies would drop. They would drop parts. You would go to them, put them into the recipe thing, and then you would get said, ability. And I'm like, oh, and then you get attaching to Zero. I'm like, oh, it's deeper than it, but now I have to know what I'm making, kind of deal. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm making. That's the only one I had to actively look up how to like get like the double jump or how to get this or that, because I didn't know the recipes. And in my first playthrough, I don't remember how you get the recipes. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. And it just kind of ultimately bogged down the experience for me. Now, the one thing I did like about it was how you got the special weapons, which was different. And the previous 2 games, you had to be good at the game to get it. This one, you have to be quote unquote good at the game. Because each stage where one of these Mavericks is, again, Neo Arcade is in, has an alternate weather condition, right? And if you play it on the harder weather condition, if you beat it, no matter how good or bad you did in the fight, you would get the special weapon. So, needless to say, I got all of them in that game my first go around. It wasn't particularly difficult. Not really, not in my opinion. Out of all of them, I feel like the 4th one is the easiest of all 4 Zero games. But that's really is this the plot, right? You go around getting material, upgrading Zero, upgrading the elf, obviously getting sub tanks and whatnot. And we get beat 4 of them. Middle stage, the camp again is on fire. We're trying to force them back to Neo Arcadia. Kind of real that the leader of these Maverick Neo Arcadia forces guys, Craft, and they just have some kind of history, I guess. Nature's the leader of the human people. And I'm just like, okay. Again, I didn't care. It was one game, and it never stuck with me. I like Craft and all, and I think he's the guy people were like, well, where's the Craft, Biometal and ZX? I'm just like, I never cared enough. I had a feeling if they were to do something like that, they weren't going to make it one out of Craft. He wasn't as important. Just wasn't. Yeah, that's not okay. 04 isn't really a whole lot to talk about. Not a whole lot to unravel there. Speaking of unraveling, once we beat them, to defeat the rest of the 4 of them, realize that Weil has some kind of giant space station with a kill laser on it that wants to blow up every Area 0. Why should you go and stop it? Again, we have boss rushes. We fight Craft one last time, who helps us a little bit, I think, and he ends up sacrificing himself, if I'm not mistaken. And we fight Weil. And Weil's a bit interesting because he's the first human we fight. Not only fight, but we actually go and kill, because the original Mega Man can't actually kill Wily. The loads of robots are programmed into, but Zero, being an advanced robot / Reploid at this point, can. I do like what Zero said. He's like, I don't ever recall calling myself a hero. He never once referred to himself as everyone else called him that. He is just like, I'm just the guy doing a job. Let me fight Weil. First phase, fight in second phase. And we realize, oh, the colony's coming down. We should probably leave. But no, Weil's still at it, so he connects and fuses with the space station. And then we keep fighting him. And Ceo's like, no, Zero, you have to get out of there. You're just going to fall. He's just like, Ceo, believe in me. He's like, no, Zero, whenever we fight him. Now was the time. We have 2 minutes, 120 seconds to beat this guy, or it's game over. I was like, I was actually the only interesting part, in my opinion, about 04. Shrug. Sorry for you 04 fans out there, at least to me. And then we beat him. But unlike everything else, Zero doesn't come back. The colony is falling apart in the atmosphere and whatnot, but like, where's Zero? Crap, where's Zero? Everyone's like, where'd that guy go? And then CO goes outside, and it goes on a hill where all the colony pieces are falling and whatnot. And then she's just like, we'll make a better world, and Zero's gonna come back to us, right? Yeah, sure. Let me, if you see at the end there, Zero's helmet all messed up. No. Zero. Megaman Zero. The last of the Maverick Hunters. The last of Dr. Wily's creations. That's died his final death. And to me, that was pretty emotional. Zero's my favorite Mega Man character. I was like, oh wow, he's actually dead, because he's died before, but he always comes back. But no, this was his final true death. Oh, something. But yeah, that was ultimate. That was it, really. I was a bit emotional, but for the most part, I was like, okay, cool. On to the again, not too many characters I particularly like, and there's a lot of characters, but none of which I particularly jive with or like. Save for Zero, obviously being the top. The 4 Guardians. Then we have CO, kinda Copy X. I guess Copy X and X on the same tier, and then there's everyone else. Art design, I liked the new designs. Kind of made sense to me, because they're going forward into the future, like I said before. Like I'm saying, well. So maybe X and Zero upgraded their body types to match everything else. I'm like, okay, cool. Obviously, I don't really have to say which one's my favorite, which one I like the most, because I've already said it. 03 is my favorite one. It's favorite game in the entire series. It's not fair to other Mega Man games for me to try and compare it to that. It just isn't fair. I love the series overall, and it's just awesome. Wow, over an hour, longest video yet. You said this in this series. Well, everyone, I believe that is it. Thank you for, if you even watched this, tuning in this long. And I will see you guys next time.